Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field report. Is anyone else getting tired of 30 and 40 degree temps with 30 and 40 mile an hour winds? Those of you who are waiting for the sweet spot to plant your corn, the time is here. We're going to a green light on Wednesday for corn planting. Let the big dogs run and keep them running until we're finished. With temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, this corn will fly out of the ground. Until conditions change, though, we must save every ounce of water so we can get this crop germinated. Plant into moisture. Don't plant in dry soil, hoping or praying you're going to rain it up. For you guys running horizontal tillage, keep that planter right on the tail of that soil finisher. With these low humidities and high temperatures, and wind seems like every day, the little moisture you'll have will be gone fast. With the vertical till, guys, if you feel you must run to level up some fall tillage, and you haven't done it, of course, by now, keep it shallow as possible and run with little or no gang angle. Now, many of you guys running vertical tillage on bean stubble use it to crack that surface and help dry things out and warm that soil up. This week, that's not needed. This soil will no-till like a dream. Park the harrows and no-till into that bean stubble. If you're harrowing to incorporate surface nitrogen, save the moisture and buy a urease inhibitor and no-till the field. We're getting calls from guys running the high-speed disc that their moisture is gone and trying to figure out what to do. Guys, these tools are shallow horizontal tillage. And when we run them on our bean stubble, while we're fluffing up the top 2 inches of soil, we're turning it into sugar and laying it back down on a 2-inch deep horizontal layer that looks like a garden to plant into. It's given up whatever soil moisture we need for germination in a matter of hours. And it's setting you up for both blowing if it doesn't rain and crusting if it does. As fine and black as these high-speed disc fields look, man, you'd think we're back to the moldboard plow and the disc days. We need to plant this corn into moisture. So planting crews, watch your smart firmers as you cross the field to make sure you're in moisture on each of those soil types as you cross them. Everyone stop and dig multiple times a day to ground truth that you are staying in the moisture. The trick is to get into moisture and then to hold that moisture. Your closing system has 2 things it needs to do. It needs to close that furrow from the bottom up, and it needs to firm the soil over the top of that seed so that moisture doesn't get away, especially in years like this. Spike wheels struggle with the firming part. In these dry conditions, go back to the solid wheels if you still have them, especially in tilled fields. Make sure the depth wheels stay snug against the disc opener, not allowing dry surface soil to fall into that trench and get onto the seed before we close it. In tilled soils, you may have to increase your downforce on your depth wheels to hold a true V that doesn't allow surface soil to fall in on top of the seed. So here we'll be at 100% contact, but we got to make sure that we're not sloughing dry soil in, and you may have to go up on your margin, up on your down pressure. If you're concerned about not having enough moisture in tilled ground to get corn germinated, my recommendation is shut off your in-furrow starter. Salt burn calls go up in dry planting conditions. If you're running the furrow jet, my recommendation is to shut off the in-furrow portion of that and take the starter to the wings. Now in the vertical till and no-till fields, it looks like we still have plenty of water, and I don't think you're going to have an issue there. If the water is gone down to planting depth, you have two options. Wait for the rain and then chase it with the planter, or use your row cleaners and push the dry soil out of the way, trying to get to moisture. Now, both have drawbacks. How long are you going to wait for the next decent rain? And if it does rain too hard, the soil could wash back in on top of the seed, making it too deep. But this is still better options than planting in the dust and hoping for the rain. And if it does wash in on the soil in on top of your seed, at least you have moisture this time for the replant. Our cutworm and armyworm traps just keep banging away with strong catches. Big thanks to the people running the trap lines. This gives us a heads up on what to do. But I don't think it's because they're exceptionally good at trapping moths that these numbers are high. I do believe we have a problem brewing here. We have a lot of corn out there that's not protected anymore with an insecticide. A number of you guys are planting conventional and double pro hybrids that don't have cutworm protection. Weedy fields, no-till fields will be at a higher risk. Cover crop fields will be at the highest risk for both cutworm and true armyworm. I'll have the office post a link to a guide called the Handy BT Trait Table. It's a nice little table that tells you what each of the traits will control. So you can check your trait package to see if you're going to get any help on either one of these insects. If you're planting into covers and your hybrids are not set up to protect you from cutworm, you may want to add an insecticide to the planter or add one to your burn down. Pest teams with the long drawn out planting season and the continued high catches, scout fields for close for feeding. Cutworm are easy to kill if we can catch them before they do too much damage. The armyworm will be the biggest threat in the wheat fields and corn planted into covers. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I don't want anyone surprised when feeding starts here in about 3 to 4 weeks. Getting some calls and concerns about some of these crops being in the ground so long and still haven't emerged. Remember, this crop runs off of soil growing degree days, and we think in calendar days and weeks. When it comes to soil growing degree days, corn planted April 15th has only accumulated about 110 growing degrees here on May 1st, and it needs 120 to 150 to get out of the ground. So it's going to be a couple more days yet. Now, in the areas where we did receive the rain, watch for the crust. Get out there and get on it when you can do some good. A number of growers did have to break out the hose last week to help some beans. Now, the guys that didn't get the rain, they're actually jealous of you. Let's let the ponies run and get this planting season in the books. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.